the June 5th, 2024 meeting of the Harwich Conservation Commission in the Don B. Griffin Room at Harwich Town Hall. This is a hybrid meeting. Participation is possible in person in the room, through viewing on the Harwich channel, or by logging into GoToMeeting. If you choose to log into GoToMeeting, you can find the instructions for logging in on the agenda, which is published on the Town of Harwich website. So we're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. So the first item on the agenda this evening is a request for a change in plan for 30 Harbor Road, map 15, parcel 15A SE 32-2366 for changes to dock design.
Thank you very much. For the record, I'm Mark Burgess of Shorefront Consulting. This is for Al and Carol Novak, who are behind me in the audience. So yeah, we're proposing a minor plan change. We're not changing the design or the scope of work or anything like that. The letter is short and sweet. Basically the dock design, we'd like to change it from a monopile design to a standard two-pile design. And one of the biggest reasons is that all the other docks in this waterway are two-pile docks, a standard two-pile design. So while the monopile, the design is fine, the disadvantage would be this thing would stand out like a sore thumb. And monopiles are a little wiggly, I will say, okay? They're not solid. They can wiggle back and forth, and that can cause some people some concern. But it's such a short dock, so there's two piles at the end of the dock already, and there's two piles at the beginning of the dock already. That's for stability as well. It's only the two middle piles that were mono that we want to go to two. And the mono is a 12-inch, but the two pilings are, I believe, 10s, I believe. So there's a minimal increase in square footage because the 12-inch pile is so big. In the detail. So yeah, 10-inch. Sorry, 10-inch. So they would be green, likely Greenheart piles. So they're driven the same way. Like I said, no difference in the scope of work. They're driven the same way. You're just having two where there used to be one. And then we're reducing the amount of piles out in the waterway for the float. So presently the float was proposed to be held by 4 3-inch piles, and we're proposing to hold it by 2, I believe also 10-inch piles. And the reason for that is, one, it reduces the amount of piles that are in the substrate, but also seasonal removal and installation, in my opinion, and others, causes more disturbance than just putting them in the first time and leaving them there, because they jet them in and out. So they're using a jet pump with a hose, and they're putting the soil up into a slurry, and all the stuff's coming out of the ground, and then it settles. Then they have to do the same thing to remove the pile, and that's done removal and replacement twice a year. So you're reducing the amount of negative impacts from jetting them, because the piles are just pushed in once and they're done. So the net increase in piles is 0, because we're increasing by 2 and reducing by 2. I did the calculations in the letter. It's the total net increase in square feet is 1.5 square feet. So it's a pretty minimal change. It will make it more in line with the docks in the harbor and the character of the harbor. So that's why we're requesting the revised plan.
Thank you. Amy.
I have no concerns about the plan changes. I think regardless if it's monopile or a double pile bent, our bylaws don't say one versus the other. Aesthetics is not in our purview, but the going to a double pile bent, I think, is still in line with our bylaw. I would agree with 2 permanent piles to anchor the float rather than the 4 pipe piles. As Mark said, the 4 pipe piles would damage the substrate on a biannual basis or a semi-annual basis.
Twice a year.
Twice annual.
Yeah,
basis.
twice
I
a
don't know
year.
how you say that, but.
Yeah.
And the allowance to include green heart as timber as an option to the fiberglass, I think is fine. So I view all these items as small, and recommend that you approve their plan change request.
Okay, thank you. Wayne?
No comment. Sounds pretty simple.
No comment.
No remarks.
I have nothing to say either. So, anyone care to make a motion?
Do we need to ask for,
We do, thank you, Jim.
Public comment.
Is there public comment? Anyone in the room care to comment or ask a question? Anyone online care to comment or ask a question?
okay, then hearing none, I will move that we approve the change in plan for 30 Harbor Road, map 15, parcel 15-A, SE 32-2366.
I'll second that motion.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
4-0, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, next on the agenda is a notice of intent for 3 Longview Lane, map 104, parcel N3-2, for construction of an elevated timber stairway with landings over existing footpath to pond.
Good evening, thank you. Jack Wishart with Coastline Construction, representative for Mr. and Mrs. Katie and Mark Hembrow at 3 Longview. I believe my colleague, Mr. O'Reilly, did a great job a couple of weeks ago explaining the project, which in essence we're using an existing walking path for access and improving it to help with safety and getting down. We were waiting for the natural heritage letter to come back, which we have subsequently received, and I am happy to answer any questions if I can.
Okay, thank you. Amy?
They received a no-take letter today from Natural Heritage, they have no comments, no additional conditions, no requirements for this project. So that was the last thing we were waiting on. So I would recommend approval of the project.
Thank you. Comments, Mark?
I have none.
No comment.
No comment.
I have no comments. Anyone in the public have questions or comments? In the room? Online?
Okay, hearing none, I will move that we approve the notice of intent for 3 Longview Lane, map 104, parcel N3-2.
Second.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
4-0, thank you.
Have a great evening, appreciate it.
Too.
Next, we have a notice of intent for 23 Davis Lane, map 3, parcel N6, to demolish a single-family dwelling, an accessory structure, and construct a new dwelling, pool, and hardscape. This has been continued.
They would like a continuance to June 20th. They have retained Blue Flax Design. They just need a little bit more time, and we'll have materials for our next meeting.
Okay,
I would move for continuance.
I'll second that.
discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Next is a notice of intent for 2 Paradise Path, map 72, parcel W4 for proposed reconstruction of an existing beach access steps and mitigation.
I have green cards, I have some. You have more? I think, unless they got put in the wrong.
No.
No, that's not for this one. That's Longview. Apologies.
No worries.
I think, well, maybe,
Yeah, but I always give you this, so you know they've been done.
yeah.
Give me
Which-
these signs. These ones are green.
Yeah. I don't love them for the file. They make,
I know, better your file than mine. But if you want them, you're welcome to have them. Okay, again, Mark Burgess, Shorefront Consulting, and I have Lynn Hamlin here with me also, with Hamlin Consulting. We put together a package for you tonight for the reconstruction of these access stairs over an inland bank. Has anybody been to the site?
Chairman has, I know that.
I have.
Okay, nobody else? So I think you could agree that if you were there, that the steps are pretty much treacherous at this point.
I didn't walk down the steps.
I
Don't
agree with
recommend
you. They're not good.
No.
So they want to rebuild them, and of course, when we do projects like this, we want to try to improve them as much as we can and bring them up to current standards. So we surveyed where the trees were, and the current design is your standard elevated staircase down the bank, 18 inches off the grade, you know, no risers, things like that. There is a resting landing halfway down. Now, while these staircases aren't required to be built per code, if you were building a house, they require a landing either every 8 or every 12 feet in elevation change. And that's so if somebody falls, they don't go dun-dun-dun-dun-dun all the way down to the bottom. They at least stop halfway. Believe it or not, that's one of the reasons for them. So we've incorporated that into this design. You can see that it winds around the trees that are there, so we don't anticipate that we need to cut anything to put this in. There's a landing at the end with the stairs turned to the left to go down to the beach. The structure doesn't it's landward of Chapter 991 jurisdiction, so it doesn't require any licensing. So this is simply local permitting to rebuild these stairs. Now, in addition to that, they also want to remove some of the patio that's out there, and that is, that's the section of the patio that's red on the plan, and it's actually towards the pond. So the closest patio structure closest to the pond, they want to remove that, and they want to do a lateral expansion off to the side. That's the black hatched area. Lynn worked on the mitigation numbers for the mitigation. Those are on the plan, so you know where we got them from. I'm going to turn it over to Lynn to explain the mitigation plan and the location of the mitigation and things like that. You want to go ahead and do that?
Sure, they're ready.
Yeah.
So I opted to locate the mitigation on the slope basin. I'm just going to correct Mark for a minute. This is not an inland bank as a resource area inland bank. It's a slope. It's not a resource area. The inland bank's at the bottom of it, so that the project's occurring within the buffer zone, not the actual resource area. So I chose to put the mitigation where I did for several reasons. One being it's most proximate to the resource area. The second, if you see the photograph on my plan, the upper part of that slope is void of any understory. So shrubs would help stabilize it, and the species I chose have a propensity to develop good root systems and to spread. They're drought resistant, they're good for slopes. So I was trying to put something there that would quickly take over and provide both stabilization and wildlife cover. Wildlife tends to travel along the perimeter of ponds below the eye, the vision of the houses on top of the slope, so they tend to travel on the slope. So the plant species will provide both cover and food source for them. I also showed 3 cedar trees, even though they're trees being proposed, the trees proposed to be removed are dead or one of them's dying. I know you like trees, so I added 3 cedar trees on the level part of the project. And if you have any questions, I'll try to answer them for you.
Okay, Amy?
No, not a ton of comments. My only comment with the mitigation plantings is that a condition be put in to the order, allowing them to do some manual invasive removal in the vicinity of the plants that go in, because I can easily see them getting overcrowded. It's not a huge infestation on the slope there. You've got some olive, you have a little bit of honeysuckle, I think I saw, but just being able to keep the new plants free, you know, allowing somebody to manually remove invasives, just in that vicinity at least. If they wanted to do a more wholesale invasive removal, they'd have to come back to conservation for that. But stairs are extremely steep, and I won't go down them either. They're missing some treads anyways, so no. And narrower, extremely narrow. So I think your design is good. You're keeping it up off the grade. It is a fairly well-vegetated slope, other than right at the top. So you're going to make it safer, in line with our regulations. And the mitigation, the plant species are very appropriate for this area. And if you've been to going to the site, it's really modest house, extremely modest patio that they have, and the addition is a modest addition. So pretty small ask, I would say. They did submit to the Heritage Program. I was incorrect, because I always get confused too between estimated and priority. Priority to me sounds like you need to apply, but it's actually the other way around.
So
Go ahead.
estimated means it's tied into an NOI because it's specific to animal species that rely on wetlands for a portion of their life cycle. Or priority habitats include plants and other animals that don't rely on wetlands. So that's why estimated is tied into an NOI.
Yeah.
But we did file, and I
Yep.
gave
Yep.
Amy
Yep.
the certified
Yep.
mail receipt, so we just permit it through them directly instead of through you as the agent.
You don't need to wait for them. That's what that means. Essentially, we don't need to wait to vote on this project in this case. So I would recommend approval.
Okay,
No comment.
no comment from Wayne. Jim?
No comment.
Me either.
So I have a question, which is about the patio. Is the aside from what is being removed, is the existing patio going to be left as is, or is it going to be rebuilt?
Well, I don't have the answer to that, but the applicant is online, so you could ask them whether they're going to put a new, or whether they're just going to add similar to.
Okay, well, let's see if we can get a response. The existing appears to be in rather bad shape with a lot of weeds and things growing up, and
We
it
can
looks
allow
like a
for the
concrete
replacement.
slab. Is it?
Yeah.
I'd assume they're gonna replace the whole
Well,
thing.
why don't we just make it so they can replace the whole thing, and that way, if they decide to, they're okay to do it. So,
Did he type something, Matt?
Yeah, he said he's having trouble with his microphone.
Okay.
Can they just respond to the question? Are they planning to?
You can type the answer?
Yeah, all
He
right.
can hear us. Are they planning to replace the existing patio as well?
Oh, okay, there you go.
They said they'll try to preserve as much as possible.
Oh, I mean, I'm in favor of letting them just
Okay,
do a brand-new one for the whole thing if they want to.
okay.
okay. And then I had a question. The existing staircase that's there, some of it is in the ground, some of it is not. I don't know if you really care or have an opinion one way or the other. For me, The parts that are in the ground, I would just leave them there and let them rot, because if you take it out, you'll destabilize that part of the slope,
Yeah.
and you could cause channelization. Some of the treads, maybe you could take
Mhm.
them out, but I'd leave as much there as that won't mess anything else up, because it is holding the bank,
I
that's all.
agree. We did another one very similar. Actually, the one that 3 Longview that we just passed was a very similar situation. It's extremely steep and it's helping hold.
Yeah, just let nature do its thing and consume it.
Remove the superficial pieces and leave the rest.
Yep.
Okay, so we've been around to any public comment. Anyone in the room? Anyone online who cares to comment? Okay, I don't hear anything from anybody.
Okay, so hearing no comment, I will move that we approve the notice of intent and grant a variance for work within the 0 to 50-foot no disturb zone to 2 Paradise Path, map 7-2, parcel W4.
I'll second that motion.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That's 4-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
He just said online that he'll need to do something with the other. He said he'll need to repair the existing patio, so we just, yeah,
Which they have the option.
right, cool. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, next on the agenda is request for a certificate of compliance for 11 Nons Road, map 6, parcel C1-10, SE 32-1352 for a marine bulkhead and dock.
This was an application from back in 1999 that they were wanting to close out. We did receive an as-built plan from the engineer, and I've reviewed it and compared to the, I put it in your Dropbox, sorry, I didn't print it out. I reviewed what we approved versus what's there now, and I found it to be in substantial compliance. The bulkhead is showing some signs of deterioration, so should they need to do repairs or reconstruction, they'll have to come back. This is just clearing up the deed.
I see. Okay, do we have comments or questions?
No comment.
Any public comment? Okay,
Hearing none, I will move that we authorize the issuance of a certificate of compliance for 11 Nuns Road, map 6, parcel C1-10, SE 32-1352.
Second.
discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
4-0. Next is a request for a certificate of compliance for 50 Martha's Lane, map 43, parcel B6-9, SE 32-2456 for a single-family dwelling.
The house and hardscape have been constructed as per the plans, and the mitigation plantings have been in for a few years and are doing really well. I'd like to commend the owners for doing a very nice job of maintaining their property in a very natural way. I would recommend a certificate of compliance with ongoing conditions regarding no fertilizers, pesticides, herbicides.
Thank you. Comments or questions?
No.
None.
Anything from the public? Okay,
Okay, hearing none, I will make a motion that we authorize the issuance of a certificate of compliance for 50 Martha's Lane, map 43, parcel B6-9, SE 32-2456, with the ongoing condition that no pesticides or herbicides or chemicals be used on the property.
Second.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
4-0. Next, we have a request for a certificate of compliance for 4 C Street, formerly 2A C Street, map 7, parcel D2, SE 32-1706 for a Title 5 septic. Shall we take,
Let's take them all three. Let's take all three.
and a request for a certificate of compliance for the following 2 items of 4 C Street, formerly 2A C Street, map 7, parcel D2, SE 32-2205 for renovations and site improvements, and for 4 C Street, formerly 2A C Street, map 7, parcel D2, SE 32-2228 to relocate a house outside of velocity flood zone and a new septic system.
So the engineer and the builder are here if you have questions. But I'm recommending certs of compliance for all 3 items. The first one for 1706, the septic was installed as per the plan. I checked it through the Board of Health files. For 2205, the site is in compliance, and then the more recent one was relocation of the house outside the velocity zone and a new septic system. With that one, there was a little bit of additional driveway area done, which was on the opposite side of the house as Nantucket Sound, but within the buffer to actually a isolated wetland on the inland side. It was a very minor addition to the driveway and did not have an impact to the wetland, either wetland resource areas. And as mitigation, they're proposing to do some additional planting in a denuded area of the dune. That would have to take place in this coming winter when beach grass is appropriate to plant. You could do that with a simple letter attached to the certificate of compliance, which goes with the property. So, if you guys have anything to add.
I'm good, thank you. The only thing, that very first certificate of compliance, that was that the septic system that was never constructed.
Sorry, yes,
That was, I don't know
That's
if that
correct.
matters on how it's written. That was previous owner.
you're correct. Yep, thank you.
Please identify yourself for the record.
Daniel Croto from Moran Engineering.
Thank you.
So I'd recommend certs for all 3, with that condition that we require them to replant beach grass as per a plan that was provided to me in the winter, in this coming winter.
Other questions or comments?
No.
No
Anyone?
comment.
What was that?
No comment, John.
Anyone else in the room or online? Okay.
Okay, hearing none, I will make the following motions. I will move that we authorize the issuance of a certificate of compliance for the following 3 properties. 1, 4 C Street, formerly 2A C Street, map 7, parcel D2, SE 32-1706. Number 2, 4 C Street, formerly 2A C Street, map 7, parcel D2, SE 32-2205. And 3, 4 C Street, formerly 2A C Street, map 7, parcel D2, SE 32-2228. All with the condition that we require beach grass to be replanted sometime during this coming winter.
Second.
One
Further
quick
discussion?
One quick thing, I would just say that the requirement to do the beach grass shouldn't be tied to all of them. It should only be tied to 32-2228.
Okay, I'll take that as an amendment to my motion.
Second that amendment.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 4-0.
Welcome.
Okay. Next, we have orders of conditions, starting with 60 Harbor Road, map 15, parcel C2-B1 for maintenance dredging. Yes, sir.
We're just gonna sit and wait for a minute, that we have one discussion for you.
Wait for, what are you waiting for?
You're gonna issue the order, right?
Well, we were going, yeah, we can have discussion about it. So I've drafted the order, which include the conditions that were given to us today by Division of Marine Fisheries, and because they were at the very end of the day today, I'd like to take the moment, or let the commission read the draft conditions, which I did print out for you as well. I printed all 3 sets of conditions, but this is for 60 Harbor Road. I'm happy to verbally go over the special conditions, or just give you a minute to review them since you haven't had the chance to.
What we're discussing now is this document, the special condition.
Correct. And the conditions that deal with time of year restrictions are from the Division of Marine Fisheries letter today. Mark, your paper's on the mic. It's gonna make making it hard for probably people at home.
Sorry.
No, you're good. So if I may, there was an interesting, the beginning of the letter from the Division of Marine Fisheries today mentioned a May 30th end date for the restriction, but farther in their letter, it says June 30th of any year.
So this is the actual dredge permit.
And that's for that reason, the reason being is for horseshoe crabs. The town, when dredging the Witching Harbor Channel, had to get a waiver from Division of Marine Fisheries in order to dredge within their time of year restriction area. I know that the owner is really interested in dredging ASAP there. The recommendation is, per DMF, because we always take their recommendations, is to have the deadline of June 30th. No dredging activities from May 1st to June 30th. However, if you were to pursue a waiver with them and get approval with the harbor master, I wouldn't see any issue with you dredging within that time of year restriction, provided you get okay with John Rendon and get your waiver from DMF.
That,
Can I ask a question?
go ahead.
Because I'm kind of confused of the different organizations that are involved here, okay? Mr. Rendon sent me a link, and the link was to the DEP.
Correct.
And asking them for a waiver of this condition. But my permit from the DEP, which is still active and has been issued to me, has a start date of June 1st, not July 1st, or May 31st, June 1st. So I'm asking them for a waiver for something that they have
Yeah.
already said I don't need to do. I mean, first of all, I just want to apologize to everybody on the board. I am a fish out of water on this one. And I thank Amy and Mark for helping me through all this. But the reality is, if I can't dredge this in June, it's not going to be done. I mean, I've already talked to the harbor master. There's no way we're going to be able to get a dredge in there July 4th or middle of July with the moorings already set. This is why the town has sought the waiver, and I understand they seek the waiver because their original permit didn't say May 31st.
Yeah, I forgot
Mine
about your
does.
original permit.
Mine does.
Yeah,
So, just so the board understands, the town is dredging June 8th. at the mouth of the harbor, and they're gonna dredge the entranceway to the harbor. We're only asking for in front of our dock, which is, you know, a lot less, a lot smaller, and quite frankly, I've already done the shellfish relocation. There was no no significant shellfish there, according to the gentleman that did it for me. And he said that the environment there is not conducive to shellfish because it's a black, I want to use his term here,
Yeah.
mayo,
Yeah.
which I guess is a shellfish description of soils conditions. There is no sandy soils anywheres around my dock. In fact, the little bit of sand that we have up by where the mean high tide comes up to is being covered and washed over by this black decomposing organic matter. And I gave Amy yesterday, I think she probably thought I was doing it to insult her, but I wasn't. I was told to bring it.
Okay.
I brought a lot of dead shellfish in the area, and there are signs of what's called black sponge mold, which kills shellfish a lot. And this is all because of this muck matter that's there. We certainly didn't see any horseshoe crabs, and we certainly didn't even see a significant amount of live quahogs or oysters. So I guess I'm just pleading with the board to allow me at least this year to get in there and dredge maybe right after the town's done, June 10th, June 15th, whatever. Because if you push it off to July 1st, the reality is, Harbor Master already told me he doesn't think he can let me in there with a dredge. And it's just gonna be difficult. And quite frankly, the owner's boat is in Connecticut right now, waiting to come in, because we can't get it in until the main entrance is dredged. So we can't even get it in yet, but after June 8th we will. So I understand that it's a recommendation from the DMF, and I understand it's for your comments, for your considerations, but I guess I'm asking the board for a little special consideration just this season. To wait 3 more weeks, which subsequently is going to push me off until probably the fall, for an area that has already been deemed pretty mucky and no significant shellfish there, and not a good conclusive environment because there's no oxygen at all there in the soils. So, with that,
The only thing I want to add is that if the board decided to go with the permit that's been issued already, so the Chapter 91
I have it.
dredge permit, the special conditions there, that's part of that permit from DEP, say that no dredging shall occur from January 15th to May 31st. So you wouldn't be changing this permit. It would be in line with the permit that is in place that's active and valid. The only difference is that DMF has, being not a regulatory agency, but an advisory agency, has come up with this additional concern that somebody else already got a waiver against, as Leo said. So I just wanted to point out that it is in the permit, so we're not doing anything different than the permit that's already in place.
and I do understand that this permit is for 3 years, and I will tell you on my word that we will not dredge or attempt to dredge in the spring again, and we will do it, if we do it in the future within the next 3 years, it'll be done in the fall. Listening to the recommendations from the DMF.
Yeah.
But it's really imperative, I don't know how to say it any stronger than that I be allowed to get in there as soon as possible. I mean, I had the dredge there, he was ready to come in Monday, and we had to stop him because of waiting for the DMF and because I hadn't got the order of conditions yet. So I'm trying, guys. But
So their Chapter 91 permit does say no dredging between January 15th and May 31st. That is still valid until October of this year. Chapter 91 is mostly navigation, however, that condition is not a navigational condition, it's a habitat condition that was done 10 years ago. It is still valid. I think we have to abide by it and but for this year, but you're going to be applying to renew your Chapter 91
That's correct.
license.
In October.
So in that time frame, I think that's the appropriate time where we say that letter from DMF that we just got would be valid.
And I agree with that 100%.
So, to be clear, the issue here for you, the sense of urgency, I take it, and please correct me if I'm wrong, your sense of urgency is driven by a concern that the owner's boat actually won't be able to moor at that dock unless it gets dredged first?
Well, that's one concern, absolutely, yes. The owner can't use his dock. I mean, he just can't use it. He hadn't dredged it. First of all, to give you a little history, the previous owner, who I worked for, that's why I'm here, I went with a house during the sale. The previous owner was not a boater. And he occasionally had friends put boats in there, but he personally did not use the dock as a recreational part of his home. The new owners, however, are boaters, and they want to use it. And because even though our permit was long, we hadn't dredged it, kept up with the dredging, because the previous owner just didn't see a need for it. This new owner does. And, yeah, it's not the only reason, but it's certainly a concern. I mean, he does want to use his property. He pays for the water frontage, he pays for the dock, and he wants to use it. Like to have a boat there. And if I hadn't done the shellfish relocation thing, which we all joked about the last time I was here, we did that Monday. A little probably preempt, because again, I didn't have the order of conditions yet, but very difficult to get people to do that. I was very fortunate to get someone that I trusted and liked a lot and did a great job. And when I saw what was out there, I'm sorry, environmentally, that whole harbor needs to be dredged, man. That dead soil that's out there is not healthy. It's not healthy for shellfish. I read a number of these documents. I even read the documents that was referred to in here from the Department of Marine Fisheries on the sandy soils and sandy beach conditions at high tide that specifically the horseshoe crabs like. Well, I'll tell you something, all this muck is just, we have no sandy areas left in front of this particular piece of property, because all this muck soil has just kind of washed up in there every time the tide comes in. You've been out there, right?
Yeah,
It's sticky.
Yeah, we sunk
Yeah,
quite a bit.
it's sticky.
Yeah.
So environmentally, I think it's actually a pretty good move to do it.
So my recommendation would be to have the TOI for 2024 be January 15th to May 31st, and then upon renewal of the Chapter 91, the time of year shall be reevaluated.
Okay, you're adding that.
Yep.
All right. Comments, questions?
Just one question for clarification. So, Amy, what you just stated would be a revision to the order of conditions
That I wrote, yep,
that you presented to us tonight.
correct,
So what we're voting on is what you presented, changed by what you just,
correct.
okay.
I'm in agreement. Go ahead, dredge it.
So what,
I only have one question. What do you plan on using for a dredge? I'm just curious.
A rubber tower company,
The barge with the excavator?
yes.
and what in the document here limits the date that it applies? I mean, I
Not in
know-
that document, well, in the document that's written was from the letter today. Special condition 5 about no dredging activities should take place from May 1st to June 30th.
But this only applies, what we're voting on, presumably here now, only applies for this year.
Well, it's a 3-year permit, so the way I would recommend it read is that for 2024, in line with their currently active Chapter 91 permit, that their time of year restriction, that they can't dredge between January 15th and May 31st, and that upon renewal of their Chapter 91 license this fall, the time of year restriction be re-evaluated by the state.
Be reevaluated by the state, so it's still gonna be Chapter 1 license which sets that time of year restriction.
Or you can say, you can put it in your permit, it seems like you're amenable to that,
Absolutely.
that in subsequent years, that the time of year restriction shall comply with the Division of Marine Fisheries recommendation that no dredging should take place between May 1st and June 30th.
Mhm.
If you'd like that better, that way you have some more control over it.
And the Chapter 91 process will automatically put in the January 15th to.
I don't know what they'll do, but, because you're gonna provide them a copy of our permit when you're applying for your renewal.
Right.
And they're probably gonna get a copy of this letter too.
So they will.
Yes,
when it-
so,
right.
So our permit should not say just May 1st to June 30th, it should say January 15th to June 30th, right?
now, what did the letter say today?
Jan-
Well, now
They-
you wanna go
they
with
had
that,
two
don't
of-
you?
They had, for winter flounder, they had January 15th to May 31st, and then they added a
Yeah,
paragraph for
so
the.
We should
but-
just
so
say
technically,
January
it's January 15th.
15th to June 30th.
Right, so subsequent years would be subject to likely January 15 to June 30th. Now, when you reapply for the dredging permit, it goes out to public notice, and DMF gets a chance to get another whack at it. So the new dredging permit will incorporate, from DEP, will incorporate any time of year that they see fit then.
I think we should clarify what our intention is, however, so that we don't get mixed up. I think it's better to be clear about that, so I think we should do that. And if the state decides they want to impose something different,
Can I ask a question?
sure, sure.
If, when I apply for the new DEP permit, am I required to, through that process, come back here with so this permit is gonna overlap that one?
Right,
Yes.
We use this
Right,
permit
okay.
to
Use
apply
this
for
to
the
get
dredging
that
permit.
one.
Right.
I think I'm in agreement with Amy, a language of, stating that this year, in 2024, you're going with the allotted
I think-
DEP permit language, and
And then subsequent years.
subsequent years,
We'll have to comply with
have
the
to
new
comply with-
DEP permit.
Yeah, I think that's only fair.
That's all good.
I don't agree. I think we should say explicitly, subsequent years, January 15th to June 30th.
That's what I have written.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were saying something
yeah,
different.
January
so-
15th.
Okay, then,
Yep.
anything else?
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I'm just a little bit confused as to exactly what we're going to be voting on. It appears as if we're editing the language of special condition number 5 that was presented to us tonight, but I'm not clear exactly what the new language would be.
Do you like me to read what I have?
Yeah, could you, yeah.
Yep.
Why don't you read what you have, Amy, and then we'll see if everybody's in agreement to that, okay?
A time of year restriction shall be observed to protect sensitive life stages of horseshoe crabs and winter flounder, period. There shall be a time of year restriction for dredge activity in 2024 of January 15th to May 31st, and in subsequent years of January 15th to June 30th.
Okay, so that will be our new number 5 in the special conditions, correct? Okay, are we all in agreement with that? Okay, and if we're all in agreement with that, I will make a motion that we close the public hearing and authorize the issuing of the order of conditions for 60 Harbor Road, map 15, parcel C2-B1, with special condition number 5 revised as discussed at this meeting this evening.
Second.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
4-0.
Thank you very much.
Did you bring my trash?
Brad's not here.
Oh.
It's in my office still. It's still
We
there.
found a small bottle with a cork in it, and there were some locals that claimed that it could have been a liniment bottle from when there used to be a racetrack there. I didn't know if you guys knew that or not, but that was what he knows. That was
Yeah,
all.
no, I knew it used to be a racetrack, yeah, around
So
the
we were
south.
trying to figure out what that bottle was for, that's why I thought.
Do you
Brad-
want it back?
No, no, give it to Brad. I thought, yeah, I wasn't
I-
leaving it as a joke, he
I-
asked.
I know, yeah.
When we found the stuff, I said, oh, Brad's gonna love this.
Well, when I first, before I opened it, I just thought you left me a pile of dried up dirt.
Oh, no. And that spore, that sponge spore, which I guess he knows about. That's one other reason why the gentleman wanted me to.
I will get it to him.
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Wasn't that called Horse Jockey Pond, when they used to have the racetrack there?
Pardon me?
I said, wasn't that called Horse Jockey Pond, when they had the racetrack there, before they made the harbor?
You know, I don't remember because,
You weren't around then.
I wasn't around then, but I was really close friends with, people that started, Mrs. Thompson.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Frank had already passed, but Mrs. Thompson used to come to my store,
yeah.
and she used to tell me all about that
Yeah.
back then, so, but I wasn't sure what the name of it was.
Okay, next we have an order of conditions for 25 Bellbrook Road, map 23, parcel X6, SE 32-2477 for an amended order for the deck.
So again, I printed it out for you. The amended conditions are only two amended conditions. In that the amendment allows for 97 square feet of additional decking to be added to the rear of the house per the revised plan dated 4/18, and that 200 square feet of area be allowed to naturalize as mitigation, and that the owners may manually remove invasive poplar saplings and other invasives that pop up in this area.
Any discussion?
No comment.
Anything from the public?
Okay, hearing none, I will make a motion that we close the public hearing and authorize the issuance of an order of conditions for 25 Bellbrook Road, map 23, parcel X6, SE 32-2477.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
And we have an order of conditions for 49 Sequatucket Bluffs Road, map 8, parcel G1-4, SE 32-2514 for elevated beach access staircase and patio reconfiguration.
The only condition here is, additional condition here is that allows for changes to beach access stairs. The stairs are to be built above the dune with the bottom section made of aluminum so that they're easily removed in the off-season when there are more storms. And then the new plan of record reflects that change. And that's it for that one.
I see, okay. Any discussion?
No.
No comment.
Comments or discussion from the public?
Okay, hearing none, I'll make a motion that we authorize issuing the order of conditions for 49 Sequatucket, that we close the public hearing and authorize the issuing of the order of conditions for 49 Sequatucket Bluffs Road, map 8, parcel G1-4, SE 32-2514.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. So next we have a request for an extension permit for Herring River East to Pleasant Road Beach, SE 32-2169 for beach maintenance and snow fencing.
I am John Connolly. I'm just here representing Old Mill Point, who's requesting the extension.
I have no problem speaking to it if you'd like me to.
Please do.
So Old Mill Point Association has been following the order of conditions, in my opinion, very well, and submitting annual logs, which were in your Dropbox, of their activities. They are the most diligent, I find, of our beachfront organizations to be doing their reporting. That's credit to John here. And they've grown the dune area near Pleasant Road Beach by putting the beach rakings, again, at the toe of these dunes, not exceeding the height of it. This provides great habitat. It breaks down to almost nothing, becomes dune. Provides great habitat and also some shoreline protection for people in that area. I would recommend you grant them the 3-year extension. I know the commission has been hesitant in the past to grant more than a single extension, and this has already had extensions. However, I don't see the need for them to, I don't recommend that you deny this permit, because they would just have to come back and they would reapply with the same exact language that they went for now. Our beach maintenance regulations since this permit happened have not changed, so I don't see that the conditions are going to change on this permit. So I would recommend that you grant them an additional 3 years and let them continue doing a good job.
Okay. Comments? Jim?
No
No
comment.
comment.
I'm in favor of it.
Okay. Public comments? Hearing none?
Hearing none, I will make a motion that we grant an extension of the permit for a period of 3 years to Old Mill Point Association, for Herring River East to Pleasant Road Beach, SE 32-2169.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
4-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So
Run along my muscle just in case there's a problem.
you never know with this board. You never know. We don't have minutes, and that's on my end. Heather has typed them. I have not had a chance to review them and make edits, so no minutes tonight. And in speaking with the attorney for Bonnie Lane, that's supposed to be under discussion and possible vote, they also want to go for certificates of compliance for the 2 outstanding permits on that property, in addition to have you hopefully vote on the conservation restriction. So they've asked to move to the June 20th agenda.
Okay.
I do need you to sign this, however, I realize that number's wrong, so I have to print out a fresh one. Did you, we could chat about CPC.
Yeah, I have 2 items, actually. CPC is one of them,
Mhm.
so a week from tomorrow, CPC is holding its annual public information meeting, which is specifically an invitation to the public to come and tell CPC what they think CPC should be spending its money on. Practically what it means is people with ideas that are considering applying for the next funding cycle come to discuss what they have in mind. But it's open to the public, and I represent the Conservation Commission on the Community Preservation Committee. I don't normally speak about the needs in that meeting. It's more for the public to come. Amy has come in the past. I don't know if you have in mind this year, Amy.
2.
So that's an opportunity to either come or write a short paragraph description of the things you have in mind that can be read there?
I'll do one or the other. I'll gladly tell you the two that I'm thinking about. One is a well for the community gardens, because we've been spending exorbitant amount of money in water, because we're tapped into town water there, and the fund, that comes out of my budget. So the well will, and I've had some quotes from, is it Jenkins, I think. I put it out, a request for some quotes, and I only got one. Maybe it was Desmond that quoted. We picked out a certain type that would be adequate for the gardens, with the flow that we needed there. And it's probably gonna run $25,000+, but I think in the long run, it is a good investment, to have out there. So that's one. And then two is, the pedestrian bridge on North Road going into the Bell's Neck. From the bridge south, it's severely compromised, to say the least. The path, it's not accessible at high water there. If you come up from Route 28, up North Road, and you try at high tide to walk to the bridge, it's pretty inaccessible. It's been severely eroded by storms as well as people. And thought is to, one, hopefully make that ADA accessible, and have a raised boardwalk so people stop trampling the marsh in order to get to it, because people are going to go to it. We want to provide access, but provide a raised boardwalk so that underneath can be restored and adequate access be provided.
Okay. Comments or discussion? I mean, this is the time if you have other ideas.
Yeah,
Right.
and I'm gonna be coming to the Conservation Commission for your support, as well for
Right.
these items, so.
Did anything ever happen to the flume up there, up at the Herring Run? As far as putting the railings up and grading that so people like myself wouldn't fall on their face?
No, not yet, thank you.
So are you thinking that that's something that would be funded out of the existing?
That should be.
That could be DPW, hopefully.
parts of
I don't
it?
think it'll be CPC, especially if in the few years we're gonna be talking about replacement of a dam of some sort, but something to, rails at Herring Run, DPW. Okay.
So, have you reviewed the requirements for complying with the strictures of CPA funding, and are convinced that these two things you're talking about?
I'm convinced that the recreational aspect of the bridge would meet it,
I see, okay.
but
I
not completely sure about the well yet.
Okay, I probably need to think about that and give
And
you
I need to
input.
see how that property was acquired, if there was CPC funds used to acquire the community gardens.
Right.
So it's just a potential funding mechanism that I'm considering there.
Okay,
But for the bridge, I feel several parcels in the Bell's Neck were purchased with CPA funds. And, recreation is one of the categories that's able to be funded, so I feel like that one is hopefully pretty straightforward.
okay, great. Anyone?
If you have any others, please let me know in the next few days, and we can vet them and potentially, get them on the docket, but
So,
no.
I do have a question.
yeah,
The, over on North Road,
Hmm.
is the idea tossed out about replacing that footbridge with a vehicle bridge to have that road continue through? I know that was a discussion at one point, but
Discussion at one point, but when we most recently talked about the Bell's Neck Land Management Plan and voted on that, that was not
That wasn't specific.
that wasn't brought up and wasn't specific in there.
Mhm.
I think that would take a lot more time to potentially hash out. The money for the bridge would be for the design, the design and plan. It wouldn't be for construction, because that would be a subsequent filing, by the way. But I think that would take other departments' input, DPW, police and fire,
Mhm.
neighbor input there. Personally, I'm of the mind, my own professional opinion, for whatever it's worth, is that we have a vehicle bridge that goes through, that's Bell's Neck Road, and that the footbridge here provides other passive recreational activities in a safe manner, because there's no cars, such as fishing, walking, things like that, where you really can't, and potentially you can still put a kayak in there on one side, where you really can't do that at the car bridge.
Okay. When that culvert's repaired, back up at the entrance to that area, is there any discussion about elevating that road so at high water, that's still gonna be passable?
That is on the DPW's low-lying road study that Ty and Bond has done, and has been flagged as one of the more critical roads, even though it only accesses a few houses. If people are in those houses, it's a big problem. So that is not part of this, but I know that it's in the works.
Do you know if elevating the road right there slightly is?
I don't know.
Okay.
Right now, they've identified the locations and prioritized some locations, of which this is one, and so is Bell's Neck Road itself being one, especially south of the bridge. I think now they're looking at alternatives for those locations to present to the town.
Okay.
But that would be a question if you're to contact Link at DPW about.
Yeah, but I mean, my concern there is just the access to
Yeah.
those homes down there. I mean,
Yeah.
in the wrong type of weather conditions, they're cut off from emergency
They are,
services.
and the past few years have proved that.
Right.
So that's definitely something that is being considered and being addressed.
So is the reason you're thinking about making the footbridge into a vehicle bridge
Double
is,
access.
but it's partly motivated by the problems you see in the southern end of
That's correct.
North Road where it floods?
That's
And
right.
if that was fixed properly, then the vehicle access from the north would be less of a concern?
It would be less of a concern.
Okay. I got it. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
All right, I have one other thing, which has to do with Hinckley's Pond. And I've gotten incoming today, actually, because apparently APCC's, I don't know, they do an annual report on pond health, and last year Hinckley's flunked by like a hair. They used this thing called the Carson Trophic Index, which is it's a composite index that uses Secchi depth, total phosphorus, and chlorophyll measures to come up with a number between 0 and 100 that is supposed to apply to the total health of the pond. Anything over 50 is bad, anything under 50 is good, and I think last year they came in at 50.1 or something, and so APCC was calling Hinckley's an unhealthy pond that needs immediate attention. Remember, Hinckley's got treated in 2019 with alum. Last year, there were some observed problems there. This year, apparently the same figure of merit came in, just, a couple of tenths, like 50.3 or 51, something. It's still slightly over the 50, which sounds dire because their description of anything over 50 sounds terrible. But the underlying, and I tend to not take that seriously, but, and there are two underlying problems here which you can't dismiss. One is that the levels of phosphorus in the pond have been high.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe, was there a bloom or hints of a bloom last year, Amy, at Hinckley's? I don't remember.
It was cloudy. It was not, from what I understand, it was not the toxic cyano. It was an algae bloom, but it was not the toxic bloom, but it was an algae issue with clarity there.
Right, so this plays into his discussions we've had earlier this year, I think, about having to follow up with Hinckley's.
Yeah,
Hinckley's
monitoring.
not, Hinckley's really is the town not having actually complied with the order of conditions for following up with measurements. And part of the problem with assessing this metric from APCC, which is alarming some people, that there just isn't enough known. And you look at the last report, which I uncovered and I think I shared with you, but I don't know. Somebody like, I think it was Stan Selko, sent me the 2021 report, which was the final report from Wagner.
I sent it to you. Or maybe he did too, but I have it. It
Right.
says that more testing is needed here.
Right, and you look, I mean, it was pretty clear from, there's a graph in there that shows phosphorus levels, and it's clear that after 2019, they improved substantially, but that just goes through 2021. Now we're in our third year since that,
Yeah.
starting our third year. So, you know, I think we need to collectively figure out how we're gonna fund further testing there. It's not really the Conservation Commission's
No.
problem, but it is because that work isn't being done. I'm bringing a problem with no solutions at the moment,
Well,
but we need to talk about it.
I had hoped to have applied for some funding, through the county for it this past spring. That was one of the things I think I was talking with Tim Passakarnas for.
Yeah, and
With turnover and staffing shortages, it's not something I was able to do. And I
So-
don't know if the deadline's passed or not yet, to be perfectly honest, for that. I've just been burning the candle at both ends. So.
yeah, I understand that.
But,
It's,
and I did make Natural Resources aware that we needed to find a way to do this.
okay, so I think that I'm gonna call Don tomorrow and, ask him what the status of this is and try to get him going on looking for funding for this, because I don't know what else to do about it, and it's a problem, and I think,
I can check and see if there's still opportunity with the county. I can see, I can talk to Tim too. But
you want me to call Tim?
if you would like to, that would be helpful.
I will call Tim, I will call Don.
He might have, so before you call Don, Tim may be a good avenue for other opportunities for funding availability that we could then speak about more with Don. Because I don't know if Don might not know of the other, Tim might know of other opportunities that are soon to be available.
Okay.
That would be very helpful.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else? Any other business?
I just need to go quickly print off a brand new sheet for this, if you just don't mind waiting, that way I don't have to have you come in and sign them.
Okay,
Sounds good.
we
You
can
close it.
adjourn the meeting.
Okay, I'll move that we adjourn.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oi, oi, oi.